This is Stingray, host of The Stingray Show, with my co host right over there, Mr. Heath Hopkins. And Heath, we are starting something new here on YouTube, and that, of course, is History of College Football each day. And today we are starting with September the 2nd. And Heath, we have quite a few history making things on September the 2nd.
Such as.
All right, we will start in 1989. Southern Miss quarterback Brett Favre led the Southern Miss Golden Eagles to a stunning 30-26 victory over then number 6 Florida
Florida
State
State.
there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, that was a huge game for the Eagles.
Yeah.
And sadly, the next week bit them. They celebrated too hard. They lost the next week. Southern Miss lost to in-state rival Mississippi State the very next week.
All right. Favre threw for 282 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 2-yard toss with 23 seconds remaining for the go ahead and ultimate game winner for the Southern Miss Golden Eagles, 30-26 over then number 6 FSU.
Stop me if you've heard this before. Brett Favre partying.
Yeah.
So, could you imagine partying with Brett Favre back in his college days at Hattiesburg, Mississippi?
I know.
I am sure there's some legendary stories from Hattiesburg, the hub city.
Yeah. All right. When we move to 1989, staying on that day and moving just a little bit off to the west in College Station, Texas A&M upset then number 7 LSU in a significant early season upset because this was the first game of R.C. Slocum's career there at Texas A&M, and they defeated LSU by a score of 28-16.
That's also when they had the Wrecking Crew kickoff team made up of walk-ons, and the A&M, the Aggies, they were under NCAA investigation, and probation was pressing hard and fast. So that was one of the last celebrations.
Yeah.
That probation came from the Jackie Sherrill era there at A&M.
So on this day in history, the R.C. Slocum era started with a huge win for Texas A&M. They are at home against LSU.
That's an impressive win for R.C. Slocum. Never been a head coach, taking on LSU. LSU had the number of A&M for many, many years. That was such a great rivalry to start the season. I miss those games.
All right, moving to September the 2nd of 1993, Pittsburgh defeated Southern Miss 14-10 at M.M. Roberts Stadium. However, this was a very significant game because after a 15-year head coaching stint at Tennessee, famous coach Johnny Majors took over and began his second tour as head coach of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Johnny Majors, Coach Pitt, took them very high, very high. That program was booming. Those Penn State Pitt games were legendary. And then he ran to Tennessee, did a wonderful job there. And then one offensive line coach and offensive coordinator, Philip Fulmer, threw Johnny Majors under the bus. Just ransacked him, sabotaged him, ambushed. And that's how Philip Fulmer became the head coach. Johnny Majors had some health issues, had to miss a little bit there in the season. Philip Fulmer filled in, and then when he filled in, just threw him right under the bus. And what do you know, season later, Philip Fulmer's the head coach, and Johnny Majors back at Pitt.
And in his inaugural debut as the second time at Pittsburgh, they knocked off Southern Miss 14-10 back in 1993.
I've always thoroughly enjoyed Pitt's uniforms. That yellow and blue, man, that's That's fun. They got some fun uniforms up there at Pitt.
All right, and the final one that is major comes on September the 2nd of 1995. Heath, can you tell me what major upset happened in South Bend, Indiana? And it was called by the AP one of the biggest upsets in college football history.
See, South Bend, and what year was it?
1995. Number 9, Notre Dame lost to who?
Oh, man, let me think about this. I am a sophomore in college, and Notre Dame. It wasn't Army or Navy, was it?
No.
They usually open up the season with Army or Navy. Back then they did.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Let me think about this, Stephen. Was it a G5 team?
Big Ten team.
You know what? I remember this. Stephen, because this team became the buzz for the rest of the year. Started off undefeated, and they didn't finish undefeated. But I want to say they made it to the Rose Bowl that year. None other than Northwestern.
Yes, sir.
I remember that.
Correct. You are correct. Pat Fitzgerald, which was a linebacker on that Northwestern team, led a 28-point underdog Wildcat team into Notre Dame and beat them 17-15. And then Northwestern proved the game was not a fluke by winning the Big Ten that year and going on to the Rose Bowl.
It might have been Oregon, but I think it was UCLA.
Okay.
I think. Don't mark me on that one. But I remember that Northwestern team. There was a buzz about Northwestern. And the internet wasn't around, Amazon wasn't around, but you would randomly see people pop up with a Northwestern sweatshirt or T-shirt on. You're like, dude, where did you get that? They was like, man, they had like 8 at the mall and they were gone in like 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people were just bandwagon jumpers, were just taking anything and everything they could get. But yeah, little tiny Northwestern.
Yeah.
And aren't they still building their stadium? I know they got that on-campus stadium there by the lake.
They're trying.
Yeah, but they're playing on the soccer field, but makeshift some football stands, and I don't know what's going on there.
All right. So to recap briefly, on this day in history, Northwestern defeated number 9 Notre Dame. Pittsburgh defeated Southern Miss in the second stint of Johnny Majors right there at Pittsburgh. And then you also had Southern Miss quarterback Brett Favre leading the Golden Eagles to a huge win over number 6 Florida State. And R.C. Slocum starts off his career at Texas A&M with an upset of number 7 LSU in College Station. So there, of course, is your history of college football on September the 2nd.
And Coach Fitzgerald came back and coached Northwestern and took them back to the Rose Bowl once again.
And guys, we will catch you tomorrow with the college football history for September the 3rd, and we will see you then right back here on YouTube. And hey, if we missed a game, or if you would like for us to cover a specific game for the rest of this month, drop it in the comments. Let us know, and we will talk about it.